Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, September 20th. A big cut meant a big bounce. Coming off the Fed's latest rate cut, markets closed in record territory yesterday. The Dow climbed 522 points, or about 1.25%, to end above the 4,200 mark for the first time. The S&P 500 added 95 points, or 1.7%, notching its first close above 5,700. The Nasdaq surged 440 points, or more than 2.5%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're down 0.2% this morning. So yeah, we're going to have a weak opening. You're looking around the various sectors. The airlines are showing weakness, autos are showing weakness. And definitely the semiconductors are weak this morning. So we are a little bit concerned there. Markets reacted a little bit to some additional central bank decisions that came out overnight. This morning, economic calendar is rather light. Nothing major coming out today. But overnight, we did get some earnings reports from Lennar, FedEx, and MillerKnoll. They weren't great. In terms of the central banks, the Bank of Japan, they left rates unchanged, but that was widely expected. The PBOC in China, they left rates unchanged. And now the markets were expecting a rate cut from the PBOC. That's kind of an issue. What else do we have happening? Nike, they replaced their CEO. Their CEO announced his retirement and is being replaced. What do we say? I mentioned autos were weak. Mercedes trimmed its forecast amid weakness going on in China. That's not positive, and then chip stocks are all in the red. So, it's going to be a little challenging this morning. But let's take a look at overseas action this morning, starting off with the DAX in Germany. The DAX is down 139 points, or 0.73%. Auto stocks are really driving that market lower. FTSE's down 61 points, or 0.74%. Now, the UK sales figures rose by 1% in August, which beat expectations of a 0.4% increase. But there was a separate survey that revealed, weakness in consumer confidence for the month of September. So that's kind of weighing on the index this morning. And the CAC in Paris is up, is also lower, down 61 points, or 0.81%. The luxury sector is weak, and that's really weighing on that index. We're turning the page over to Asia last night. We're looking at the Nikkei. The Nikkei jumped 568 points, or 1.53%. Listen, Bank of Japan left rates unchanged. That was expected. They came out and they indicated the bank would continue to raise rates if the economy and prices, that's going to be watching the economy and prices to see when that could happen. And a rate hike could happen in Japan, by the end of the year, like in December. Remember, their interest rates are 0.25%. So, a rate cut is sorely needed. A rate hike is sorely needed in Tokyo. We're looking over at Hong Kong. Hong Kong gained 1.36% on the day. Gains were in all sectors. That index is up 5% on the week. And then we're looking at China, Shanghai. It finished flat to higher. They kept their 1- and 5-year loan prime rates unchanged. It was disappointing. They had room to cut. They didn't. Market still expects a stimulus package out of China. I hope one happens soon. Now we're turning our attention to oil this morning. Now, oil is trading lower. We got WTI at $71.72 a barrel. We got Brent at $74.49 a barrel, down about 0.4% this morning. The PBOC action, leaving rates unchanged, it's not positive because they do have an economic issues going on over there. And, that's causing a little weakness in oil this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report today, Emily.
Bill, your opening there does point to the fact that it's important to keep track of things that are happening overseas and here at home to really get a good feel for the markets going into this Friday. You're looking at a number of things this morning, as you do every morning. And one of those things, as you mentioned, you gave a little preview, is earnings action. There were some earnings last night that are interesting to note. So, Bill, let's start there. What's going on in terms of earnings action?
Let's start off with ticker MLKN, Michael, Larry, Kilo, Nancy. That's MillerKnoll. They missed by 4 cents on lower revenue. That stock's down 5.36% this morning. Lennar, the home builder, ticker LEN, Larry, Edward, Nancy. They beat by 27 cents. They did that on higher revenue. Stock's down 3.65% though this morning. FedEx, ticker FDX, Frank David X-Ray. They missed by $1.16, and that was done on lower revenue. Stock's down 12.99. Let's call it 13% this morning. Was an ugly day, but I will say their guidance wasn't horrible. But the stock is getting hit on that big earnings miss. No earnings out this afternoon or Monday morning, but Monday afternoon we do have AAR Corp, ticker AIR, Apple India Richard, set to release. Their EPS is 82 cents, and the expected move right now is 7.55% when they release Monday afternoon, Emily.
Keeping track of that, and you're also keeping track of economic events. We're sort of taking a big deep breath here after a busy week earlier this week when it comes to economic events. But Bill, let us know what we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Yeah, calendar is light today. I mean, at 1 p.m. we get the Baker Hughes rate count. I see that Philadelphia Fed Bank President Patrick Harker, he's supposed to be speaking early this afternoon as well. I think it's at 1 o'clock. In terms of the Baker Hughes rate count, remember there was a hurricane last week, so they shut down some oil wells. So I don't expect that number to grow. If anything, I expect it to contract. So we'll have to see what that number comes in at. But that's that's the only key economic report that I see hitting the market this morning, Emily.
And Bill, the one thing that doesn't really take a beat the way, earnings and economic events do are other types of news. There's always a news flow coming out, different data and information from different sectors and segments. You keep track of things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. Using your NewsWare, you're able to group stocks together and create alerts for things like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. And you're always gathering all the market moving information that you need. So on this Friday, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm looking at my Dow stocks, doing a data check here. I got 14 higher, 13 lower, the rest unchanged. FANG stocks are really moving lower, with the exception Google. It's seen some slight gains this morning. So, I'm cautious on this morning. And I could see some selling late in the day to bring this market down a little bit. In terms of news behind the tape, Apple, I see that T-Mobile CEO came out and said, the iPhone 16 is selling better than the iPhone 15. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that it definitely makes sense to me. Amazon, I see Amazon's joining the Motion Picture Association. That's interesting. Listen, they're really making a play to become a movie house. So yeah, it makes sense to join. I want to say Tesla's, showing some weakness this morning. Not significant. It's only down 0.4%. Mercedes lowering their sales course, the sales forecast due to weakness in China. Kind of that affects all automobile companies. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see additional weakness in Tesla this morning. What else? Well, let's move over to Dow Jones 30s. Johnson & Johnson, they get an FDA approval for non-small cell lung cancer treatment. That's positive. But I also see that Johnson & Johnson just raised their baby powder settlement offer to $8.2 billion. Wow, that's a big move. I think the old one was $6 billion. Nike, ticker NKE. John Donahue has been the CEO for a few years. He's retiring. Hill's going to be returning as the successor. Remember, Elliott Hill was replaced by John Donahue. So Elliott Hill is just coming back to his old role. So, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the stock's up big. I mean, if you look at Nike this morning, the shares are up $6 to $87.15. They were trading 89 last night when this news hit the tape. So, they're, I think that this move is temporary, but, you could see some additional gains in Nike for a short period of time this morning. And let's talk Microsoft, ticker MSFT. This one hit the tape this morning. Constellation Energy, ticker CEG, Charlie Edward Grace, and Microsoft are in a deal to restart Pennsylvania's 3 Mile Island. Now, I don't know if you remember 3 Mile Island, but that was one really bad disaster. That really caused, an issue with that power area for like years, for decades, actually. So that leak was bad. But Constellation Energy and Microsoft in a deal to restart 3 Mile Island. Hopefully it works out. Mergers, Smart Sheets on watch, ticker SMAR. Deal could happen any day now. Takeover price, I believe, is 56. In terms of guidance, MillerKnoll, ticker MLKN, they see Q2 adjusted EPS coming in 51 cents to 57 cents. Street estimate was at 61 cents. That's a big downtick. FedEx cuts their 2025 view to $20 to 21. Now it was 20 to 22. The street estimate has it at $20.71. So it's still kind of in line. So it's not horrible, but that miss that they did this, last night on FedEx is really the reason why you're seeing the stock down so hard this morning. Let's talk events, upcoming events that are going on. Network Appliances, NTAP, Nancy, Tom, Apple, Paul. They're holding a financial analyst meeting on Monday. This could be something. And Kodiak Sciences, ticker KOD, Kilo Oscar David, they're holding an investors R&D day on Monday. A couple events to keep an eye out on. KOD and Nancy, Tom, Apple, Paul, and TAP. In terms of buyback news, Idirium, ticker IRDM, India, Richard, David, Michael, they're going to be repurchasing $500 million worth of shares. And that's all I got for you hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to end this week?
Santa Fe, ticker SN. Why, Sam, Nancy, yellow. Days like this, where I'm expecting weakness, I kind of want to stick into a sector that can be moving higher. I am seeing some gains in retail, but I'm sticking with healthcare. And, these guys, came out with this new drug candidate for multiple sclerosis, and it shows to delay the worsening of a progressive form of the disease by 31%, which is positive for the stock. Again, you look at the call volume for yesterday, 21,043 calls versus 127 puts. Yeah, that's positive. You look at it, the call open interest, 31,022 calls versus 27,403 puts. Still positive. Major brokers are raising price targets, so I do like that. Now, I do expect some weakness this morning, so I think I can get in at a little bit of a bargain price. I think I'll be able to get in under 58. You look at it right now, 57.93 to 57.98. It already hit a high this morning of 58.49. So if I could get in, 57.75, 57.50 to 57.75, yeah, that could be a good entry point. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But we still have a ways to go before the market opens. But that's my thought process today. SNY, Sam, Nancy, yellow. On the drug news, which I think is positive, Emily.
Bill, trading on that news flow today, putting the pieces of the puzzle together along with that entry point, we will see if there is an opportunity there. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day to see how that went. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Amazon. German court rules in Nokia's favor in Amazon's patent dispute. Stryker, ticker SYK, they completed the acquisition of Nico Corporation. European Union is putting out some positive opinions on drugs from Aviva and Merck this morning as well. Pepsi's got downgraded, PEP. What else do we see here? Palantir, ticker PLTR, weakness said to be tied to a 10 million share block that was traded. That could be an opportunity. Let's see, Macy's is set to hire more than 31,000 seasonal positions as they head into the holiday season. Chewy, ticker CHWI, they announced a $500 million stock offering and agreed to purchase $300 million worth of shares from a shareholder who's selling. Darden Restaurants, ticker DRI, David Richard India, they announced a 2-year deal with Uber for delivery of food from like Olive Garden, which, is interesting. GM, to recall, over 400,000 pickup trucks and SUVs in the U.S. U.S. to award $3 billion to 25 projects for battery manufacturing sector. GE Vernova, the energy equipment maker, said on Thursday that it's planning to slash the size of its struggling offshore wind business. And Walt Disney, they're no longer going to be using Slack. They came out with, and Slack is owned by Salesforce CRM. That's all I see this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off, for the weekend and get to trading on this Friday, let's do a quick check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Schlumberger. You made this pick following news that SLB and NVIDIA were going to partner in developing energy industry specific AI solutions. The AI headline, hopefully bringing some momentum to the stock, trading off the news flow as you are planning to do with your pick of the day today. But how did your SLB call work out?
Well, you got to remember, I said get in around 42, low 42s, and stock opened up at 42.70. Then where did it fall? It fell down to 42.03, and then it just started climbing higher, and it actually climbed all the way up to 43.29 and closed out at 42.75. So, waiting for that opening price, waiting for that weakness to come in, which did occur, was really the play here. And Schlumberger, ticker SLB, came through, so SLB was a winner yesterday, Emily.
SLB came through, and like you said, looking for that entry points, trading off the news flow. So we will check in with you on Monday about today's Santa Fe pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.